Jake wiped his greasy hands on a rag as he crouched over the engine of a battered motorcycle in his small suburban garage. The morning sunlight filtered through the grimy windows, casting golden stripes across the floor, illuminating tools scattered haphazardly around. His hands were smeared with oil, his jeans had dark stains, and a few strands of brown hair clung to his forehead from sweat. It was just another day in his quiet life, a life of hard work, late nights, and silent satisfaction from fixing things no one else wanted to touch. The faint sound of a motorcycle engine sputtering outside broke the monotony. Jake looked up, frowning. The bike was old but well-maintained, the kind that had seen miles of adventure. But there was something off about it. Its engine coughed and sputtered as it struggled along the street. Then she appeared. Emma. She swung off the bike with a grace that caught Jake off guard. Blonde hair tied in a messy bun, loose strands brushing her sharp cheekbones. Her leather jacket hugged her shoulders perfectly, paired with ripped black jeans and sleek boots that clicked softly on the concrete. There was confidence in her posture, a presence that made the small garage suddenly feel both cramped and vast. She looked around with a mixture of frustration and vulnerability, her hands gripping the bike's handlebars. "Excuse me, is this a garage?" she asked, her voice smooth but slightly edged with nervousness. Jake stood slowly, wiping his hands again, instinctively keeping a little distance. "Yeah, it is. I'm Jake. Can I help you with something?" She nodded, biting her lower lip. "My bike, it won't start. I don't know what's wrong with it." She glanced down at the engine, her frustration barely hidden. "I've tried everything. I don't have time for this. I just need it working." Jake smiled faintly. "Well, that's what I'm here for. Let's take a look." He motioned for her to step aside. As he leaned over the bike, tools in hand, Emma watched quietly. There was something about her, the way she observed him, not like a customer, but like someone genuinely curious. Jake had fixed bikes for years, from rusted junkers to high-end sports bikes, but there was a subtle elegance about her interest. Her patience rarely seen in people who usually just wanted a quick fix. "Do you ride often?" Jake asked casually, turning a wrench. "Yeah," she said, shrugging. "I like the freedom. The road feels different when you're out there. But today, not so much." She smiled faintly, almost apologetically, and Jake noticed the softness beneath her confident exterior. For the next half hour, they worked in silence, the only sounds being the occasional clink of metal, the hum of the garage fan, and the sputtering attempts of the stubborn engine. Jake was meticulous, explaining his steps without talking down to her. He appreciated when people tried to understand, and Emma's sharp eyes followed every move, nodding, occasionally asking a thoughtful question that wasn't out of place. At one point, she reached out to hand him a socket wrench, her fingers brushing his grease-stained hands. Jake felt a small jolt, not a romantic one exactly, but a spark of something unfamiliar. He glanced up quickly, meeting her eyes, and she looked away with a faint blush, pretending to examine the bike. "You don't seem like someone who rides just for show," Jake commented, tightening a bolt. "I'm not," she said simply. "I ride because it makes me feel real, away from everything else. Away from expectations." Jake raised an eyebrow but didn't press. He didn't need to. Sometimes silence and understanding said more than words ever could. After another hour of work, Jake finally kicked the bike's side stand and turned the ignition. The engine roared to life, smooth and powerful. Emma's face lit up with genuine relief. "You did it," she said, almost breathless. Jake shrugged, wiping his hands again. "Just doing my job." "No," she said softly. "You did more than that. You fixed it when I thought no one could. That's rare." Her compliment hung in the air. Jake felt a warmth he wasn't used to, a strange mix of pride and humility. "Thanks," he muttered, his usual guardedness slipping slightly. Emma swung her leg over the bike, adjusting her jacket. She hesitated for a moment, looking at him as if weighing something. I should probably pay you." Jake waved her off. "Don't worry about it. Consider it a welcome to the neighborhood gesture." She laughed, a light, melodic sound that echoed softly in the garage. "That's not what I expected from someone like you, someone like me." Jake asked, curious despite himself. You know, a mechanic, she said with a shrug. I guess I imagined it would be all gruff hands and no heart. But you're different. Jake felt his cheeks warm. I fix bikes, not hearts, he said dryly, though a small smile tugged at his lips. For a moment they both just stood there, the air thick with an unspoken connection. Neither of them noticed the time passing. The sun had shifted, casting long shadows across the floor. Emma finally spoke, breaking the spell. I should go, she said, mounting her bike. But thank you. Really, I'll come back if something else goes wrong. Jake nodded. I'll be here. She gave a small wave and started the engine. This time it roared perfectly, responding to her touch like it had never been broken. She rode off down the street, leaving Jake staring after her. A strange emptiness in her absence. For the next few minutes, Jake found himself replaying every detail. Her smile, the way she held herself, even the subtle elegance of her hands. There was something about her that felt out of place yet perfectly natural. He didn't know her story, and yet he felt he wanted to. Little did Jake know, Emma had reasons of her own for keeping her distance. Beneath the leather jacket and casual exterior was a life of unimaginable wealth and privilege, a life carefully hidden. She had come to this town not for money or fame, but for something far rarer, genuine human connection. She wanted someone who would see her as herself, not as an heiress or a socialite. And in Jake, she saw something she hadn't seen in a long time. Honesty, sincerity, and a warmth that wasn't tainted by expectations or agendas. As Jake cleaned his tools, he couldn't help but glance at the street where her bike had disappeared. The encounter had left a mark, subtle but undeniable. Something told him this was not the last time they would meet.